Intro out of the way, and then we'll go. People are in disbelief that this conversation is happening. No, it's happening. It's real. All right, we're gonna go through with it. Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you're doing well. Thank you very much for coming through and watching this exclusive conversation and interview that we're about to have underway with the one and only producer, singer, songwriter extraordinaire, man of many talents, jack of all trades, Russ.
Thank you.
Thank you. He's, again, taken the time to come through and have this conversation. Off the bat, first, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate, you making the time.
No, I appreciate you having me, man. It's an honor. It's very dope.
Listen, before we get the interview underway, just because obviously there's like a lot of expectations between the audience and so on and so forth, and even you yourself, when you shared that this was happening out, you said this is going to be a good one. You said this was going to be a good one. Like, what are your anticipations for this conversation before I start asking questions? Like, what do you think is going to happen? Are we going to get along? Are we going to fight? Are we going to beat each other's throats? Is there going to be tension? What do you think the vibe is going to be?
I think we're, from what I've seen, I think we're two strongly opinionated individuals,
right?
So that's what is going to be good,
right? Also, also Italian.
I was going to say I didn't want to assume,
right?
You never know in this world. I didn't want to assume.
That's true.
Yeah. So, but I saw the vowel and I was like, listen, he's probably Italian.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's a misspelling though. It's supposed to be Fontana. That's the original spelling. But the immigration coming over, last name, so on and so forth. You know what it is. But cool. But yeah, no, definitely.
Nice, man.
So we're on that wavelength as well. All right. So
already talking about wavelengths.
Yes, exactly. We're already talking about wavelengths. All right. Okay. Seems like the anticipation is positive. Seems like positive vibes anticipated. That's what I'm anticipating. I will say, like, early on. I think about the time that we first initially had any kind of interaction was like through you, like DMing me, just sort of like sending me something that you just had out or something. And you were like, hey, check this out. Appreciate what you do. So on and so forth. And this was also like around the time when, there was also like a lot of controversy around you, like running up on people and that sort of thing. And I was like, fuck, if I don't like this, am I going to get like run up? Some shit. And I was like, I don't know. I don't think so. He's coming out very nice here for some reason. So, I mean, I guess I'm in the circle of trust. I don't know why. I don't know what I did. Maybe it's an Italian wavelength thing. I don't know. I don't get it.
I'm a nice guy. I'm personable, man.
So I guess to sort of ask you, like, that vibe that some people get off of you, where maybe you're not so much a nice guy. Where does that come from? Is that sort of like reality? Is that sort of more of a rumor or something people want to be true? Like, what is that? What is the origin of that, and what's the truth?
I mean, I think in a lot of my interviews, I've delivered a lot of my messages with a harsh tone, with a harsh tone, harsh delivery, kind of chip on my shoulder. And a lot of those interviews, I was drunk, first of all. That's a disclaimer. But not that that's an excuse. But yeah, I mean, listen, right? Anyone that knows me, I'm kind, I'm personable. I'm the biggest fan of everyone. I'll big up everyone. I call up and coming artists all day. You know what I mean? So I'm not like some monster trying to terrorize shit, But at the end of the day, I think for me, the reason why the interviews and why the energy was always that was I don't think people, well, I know most people don't know what it's like to go after something for so long and never see any results and never make any headway and get told no so many times, by the industry they're trying to get into, because it was writers always telling me no and do this and et cetera, et cetera. So when you do finally get that success, of course, you're going to feel a little bit like, fuck y'all, I told y'all, et cetera, et cetera. Now, you couple that with being young, with no media training, no mentors, no guidance, and some alcohol. Of course, it's not going to be great. But at the same time, man, it's like, it is what it is. I think I've done more good than bad.
I mean, as you kind of note there, over this course of time, you have like kind of gained a bit more stability, mellowed out a bit, maybe. Like what do you attribute to that? It's like what did you have to experience or learn along the way to kind of be
just
like, oh,
growing
this,
up.
yeah, mm.
Just growing up. You know what I'm saying? And like honestly, there's probably some cliche quote, but like when you don't have a mentor, like life is your teacher.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I didn't have like, older industry people or whatever around me that were like, yo, do this, do that, do this. Here's how you navigate. I was just, running 1,000 miles per hour, doing and saying whatever the fuck I felt like. So I think what ended up happening is I went through all like the hate and the bullshit and the nonsense. And I was like, all right, what is my goal here? Like my goal is to get a message across. And if the message is falling on deaf ears because of how it's being delivered, then I probably need to fix how. If the what is getting fucked up by the how, then I should fix the how, unless I don't care about the what. So that along with just like, yeah, you just grow up and like chill the fuck out, and just, I settled into my career a little bit more. When you first get on, it's like, you're like feral, you're like a wild animal. Because you don't really know like how secure the spot is, etc. So there's probably subconsciously was a little bit of that. And now that I've kind of been here and doing my thing for a minute, I just feel a lot more solidified, a lot more like literally secure in what's going on. And, couple that with growing up, it's, just trying to be better me. But not to cut you off, but the whole thing,
go ahead.
The shit that would always trip me out. I understand the how is harsh, right? I get that. I'm very self-aware. I know a lot of the interviews came off hella douchey, and a lot of the shit was like, Jesus, bro, like shut the fuck up. I get it. At the same time, the shit I was always talking about and saying was like positive, truthful shit for the most part. And it was not destructive shit. It wasn't self-destructive sort of, messaging. So I would always be like, damn, I get that it's just harsh and like I've come off unlikable, but fuck, man, like, can y'all just hear the message? Like, you got some people telling y'all to basically self-destruct, and I'm trying to tell y'all to thrive. And it's like, granted, I'm telling you it in an asshole way, but shit, aren't we all big boys and girls here? Can't we fucking like see through it or not? So whatever.
At this point, and not to say that, you aren't making a fair point here, because even before this discussion, I myself, sort of like saw this kind of change in your demeanor and also like your music and your sound, over this course of time, occurring. But like, obviously there are still some people who at this point, who I even saw in the reactions to the announcement of this interview, who, refuse to kind of see that difference or see that evolution or see that, like, to what do you say at this point, those people who refuse to see you differently in any way whatsoever, like you're basically the same guy from 2015, 2016 or something like that?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, and a lot of those people, they'll just grow up. I've noticed that, in my own like DMs and stuff where, me and my friends used to talk about it all the time. It's like, the fans of some of these artists who like would spearhead the fuck Russ stuff, those fans were 15 or 16 6 years ago. They're 22 now. You feel me? Like, they grew up, and like after a certain age, you just don't, hopefully you just don't behave a certain way, and you grow up. So I'm not really tripping, because I feel like my fan base is multiplying, and if those people ever want to come around, cool. If they don't, cool, because there's a lot of people in the world. So it's what it is. I get it though. Like, if if I rubbed you wrong with an interview in 2016 or 17, and on top of that, you didn't like the music, if you're still in your head like, fuck you, I'm not checking your shit out, fuck you, I'm off you, rock out. I mean, I get it. I'm like that with people. I don't get it, whatever. Yeah.
Kind of thinking back to that time, like the rap landscape during those years where you initially came up was so far different than it is now. And some of those artists who you talk about who were kind of spearheading some of that stuff are like not even really on anybody's radar anymore. To what would you say you attribute your longevity past that point? Because I mean, for so many different reasons, you could have, especially with all the hate that was being thrown at you, you could have easily been swallowed in, the abyss of time like everybody else did. And yet you did it. You're still here. You just nailed down, and we'll talk about this soon. You just nailed down that fucking track with Ed Sheeran. Profile and, connections are obviously growing. What has brought you to this point to where you've kind of like surpassed the wave that you rode in on and you're kind of like coasting out further?
I think it's the message and the timelessness of the music. I think, all jokes aside, a lot of the music back then and a lot of the music now is not timeless. The sound isn't timeless and the message isn't timeless. The message is geared towards 15 to 19-year-olds. And what happens with all those artists and what's going to happen and keep happening, their fans grow up and they outgrow the music. And unless the artist also grows up, you're just going to be a perpetual 17-year-old. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for me, the messages in my music and my messages that I was saying in interviews, it might have come off corny, but it was timely shit. I was talking about self-belief and manifesting and self-sufficiency and ownership, like things that in 200 years will be, relevant. So I think it was just a timeless message and timeless music, No,
I mean, you're definitely like observing something that does happen in the industry in terms of like an artist comes in and their only single appeal. And, you understand why this happens because teenagers are very passionate music fans.
Sure.
They only appeal to that very limited young demographic for the time span in which they are young, and they don't really kind of appeal any further than that. Conversely, in your own experience, be it, interacting through the internet or obviously like playing live, who are the Russ fans? Are they young as well? Are they older? Are they growing up with you? As you kind of grow and your fan base grows, are you getting new young fans as well? Like, who are you appealing to? Who are you kind of connecting with? Because, obviously, again, your fan base is growing. Who are you kind of like, touching, and who's riding with you up to this point?
I say the same answer to this question every time, but it's because I think it's true. Everyone is a Russ. And why I say that is because I've seen every demographic represented at the shows. I've seen, a 40-year-old couple with their 18-year-old kid. I've seen the 19-year-old couple with their 2-year-old kid. I've seen young women. I've seen young dudes. I've seen black, white, I've seen everyone at the shows, So that's why I think people are very like confused by like, where are these people at? It's like, listen, I don't know, but they're here. They're at the shows. I don't know what to tell y'all, but they are here. And it's also like, it's very global. That's the thing. A lot of these artists are infatuated with America as if like America is the only place that exists and their zip code is the end all be all. And it's like, look, people need to understand that the world is massive. You need to leave America if you're an artist. You need to go do overseas shows and plant those seeds, and maybe then you'll understand what's going on. Because, when I go do a show in Portugal for the first time and it was 13,000 people sold out, not a festival, just me on the bill, people don't understand that. They're like, how is that possible? Who's listening? But I keep trying to tell people it's the music. When you combine melody with a message over timeless production. People can say what they want about my production, but for the most part, it's timeless because I don't use a lot of synths, and I'm not knocking synths, but, I try to either use like guitars, pianos, or I'll sample stuff from the 70s, which has already stood the test of time. So if I sample it, it's going to be timeless. It'll sound good, but when you do that, when you combine melody with message, with timeless production and consistency, you'll have a global fan base.
Before I move on to this next question, is there any, where else on the map that you've been surprised to see that you have like a following going that you've performed at?
Saudi was 20,000 people when I went there. I'm going back in 3 weeks. It's 40,000 people. Egypt was 8,000 people. I had never been to Egypt. They were chasing me down the street. I felt like Justin Bieber, but it's like, it trips me out just as much as it probably fucking trips everyone else out. But at the same time, I get it because I'm on stage and I'm singing these songs and they're singing them back. And I get it because everyone in the world can relate to, I don't need her, I don't need him, fuck it, I do it myself. Everyone in the world can relate to that, but not everyone in the world can relate to, certain other styles of rap that are maybe just very regional. and very like, you're only going to understand what I'm talking about if you live in this 20-mile radius. It's like, well, then you can't really be surprised. Not that they're making it for these people, but you can't be surprised if people in Egypt don't give a fuck, because you're clearly like, it's just all intention. Like, some artists are clearly like making music for this group of people, and it could just be this city or this town. I make music for the world, and that's why I feel like I'm doing pretty well in the world.
Got it. Understood.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about kind of the timelessness of sound, timelessness of music, specifically your music. I wanted to kind of dive into that in context of, you know, your recent like Chomp records, the EP, the full length, and so on and so forth, because obviously on those LPs or, you know, those projects, you made like a hard turn into like more of a boom bap sound, more of a jazz rap sound, more like kind of a vintage sound. Is this kind of a, you know, vibe you're going to continue riding onto more new stuff? And if so, like what initially kind of, you know, forced this turn in the first place? I mean, personally, I like it. You know, I like this direction. It's really cool. And I think that, you know, you apply it well. But, you know, what initially made you kind of take that plunge, and artistically, do you see more fuel in the tank for that, or do you want to move on to something else?
So the reason why I decided to like make it a thing was because throughout my catalog, there's so much of it just scattered through. There's a lot of like my diehard fans know there's always so many just soul samples of me just barring up and rapping. But because they're not hits, obviously they're just raps over soul samples, you know, the average listener doesn't even know I do that. They just think I'm losing control or I sing and whatever the fuck. So I was like, all right, in order for me to convince people or just get people to understand that I do this too, it can't be a freestyle here, a freestyle there. It can't even be a 3-song thing. It's got to be a full-length thing. That's why even with Chomp 1 was dope, but the reason why Chomp 2, I made it like full-body project, because I was like, I have to double down and fully commit to it. Otherwise, they're going to think it's not even that real, like I don't actually do it. But, you know, it wasn't like, from the outside, it looks like it was a sharp left turn, but to my fans, it just looks like, oh, you're just doing like your rap stuff for a whole project. Because I do it all throughout my catalog. Like if you listen to There's Really a Wolf, the first and last song are just bars. You feel me? And it's like, you know, there's a song on there called Emergency where it's a soul sample. And, you know, I took like a drum break from the 70s and I'm just rapping. Like I do that on every album throughout the entire course of my career. So my fans know it. But I knew that the average listener doesn't know me for that because I haven't doubled down on it and made it a thing and branded it and gave it a package. So I was like, let me do that.
I'd say tripled down on it if you're considering the features as well. I mean, you know, you got Ghostface in the mix and a ton of other people. Like, I mean, you were like,
that was really important to do because I know no one would give a fuck if I just like said, hey, Chomp, I'm doing a Chomp thing, and it's like, you know, it's all raps, and you just see Russ produced by Russ on every song. It's like, I'm not listening to this. You know what I mean? I was trying to get that culture, that community to understand like, nah, I love this style of rap. I do this style of rap. Let me do it with who I think is the best at it from the production side and on the mic. And yeah, you know, that's kind of where the mindset was at. And I'm absolutely going to do a Chomp 3. It's just, I want to elevate even more. Like I only want to do Chomp 3 when I got Hove and Kanye and Drake, Kendrick, Cole, Outkast. You know, I'm trying to go crazy on Chomp 3.
So yeah, obviously that's, you know, with what you're saying, it's kind of a little down the road. Like, what are you planning on kind of putting out in the meantime?
Honestly, like, I have this, plans are iffy for me. Plans fuck. You know, because it's like, I feel like as artists, we try and plan shit and it never goes like that. You stress yourself out when you plan so much. And that is one of the beauties of being independent is I don't really have to plan. I can sort of like shoot from the hip, you know, and it's like, I can make the decision on the fly. But right now, I mean, this Ed Sheeran song is going to just crush and do what it's doing. I'm going to go on tour and I'm going to just see how I feel. I mean, I have, you know, records that I'm like, oh, these are hits. Let me put these out. But, you know, I could wake up tomorrow and just feel like rapping or doing some other shit. But I do have an album that I'm working on that's like, to me, it's just like my magnum opus. It's like the masterpiece. It's a classic like rap album. It's just my story from top to bottom. I've been working on it for over a year and it's incredible. Like the instrumentation on it, like just everything's just an elevation. And I'm just trying to really like bring, you know, I'm I'm just trying to make my best version of hip hop possible. You know, that's it. So I do have that in the works, but who knows when that comes out.
Okay.
You know?
With the mention of the Ed thing, let's talk about some of these recent crossovers that you've had. So, again, you recently nailed down this track with Ed Sheeran, which as an independent artist is fucking insane.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about how that crossover initially happened and just kind of the, creative process of the track as much as you want to go into it.
Yeah. It was a really cool, like serendipitous type of story. I'm glad that I finally have like a cool meeting an artist story, because
Right.
most shit is not that cool. Most shit is like DMing back and forth. But funny enough, I was in LA doing promo for Chomp 2, and I had just done the LA Leakers freestyle. And, I had to get to New York to do some other stuff, but like LA Leakers films at night, so we would have had to, sleep, wake up and catch a flight. And I was like, nah, I just want to get to New York now. So I was like, fuck it, get the jet. So I got a jet, flew to New York. And because I did that, we made it in time to go to Carbone, one of my favorite restaurants in New York. And getting into Carbone, if anyone knows, is like, it's fairly difficult. It's like relatively exclusive. So I was like,
could I get in there?
Yeah, I mean, you could get in there.
If I tell them your name, could I get in there?
It depends. Honestly, it fucking depends. I don't even fucking know.
Okay,
so, who knows if I can
on.
get in there
Go on.
that easily? Anyway, so we get to New York and I'm hitting like our guy. My manager's hitting our guy. He's like, "Yo, can you get us into Carbone tonight? Russ really wants to go. He just wants to go to Carbone. I don't know. Come to this other restaurant though. No, he wants to go to Carbone. Anyway, we get in 9 p.m. Dinner. So it was the next day, and sitting down. And it's sort of like a lazy fucking meal. Everyone's sort of hung over from the night before, and in walks Ed Sheeran at the at the table, like diagonal from us. And I'm like, that just can't be a coincidence, because me and Mr. like reading into everything. I'm like, nah, there's no way. They could have sat him at the front of the restaurant. We would have never seen him. So long story short, I told myself, I'm like, I'm obviously going to walk up to him and say, what's up? I didn't think he knew who I was. I was just going to be like, hey, I'm Russ. I'm an artist. Nice to meet you. You're fucking awesome. Enjoy your meal. So I walk over and he hops up because his bodyguard spotted me. And so he hops up and he's, he knows who I am and he's introducing me to his table as this is the biggest independent artist in the world. And verbatim, I'm like, dog, what the fuck is going on? And he starts telling me how he had a TuneCore and like this whole shit. And so we sit down. I end up sitting down with him and we have, pasta and wine and just incredible conversations. And, we start emailing stuff back and forth. And so he sent me this song and it was such a fucking layup. Ed Sheeran sends me a fucking song with his hook and his verse already on it. I was like, all right, well, this is pretty easy. Mm-hmm. He was like, yo, take this. I was like, all right, say less, So I did everything that fucking day. I was like, I'm not fucking sitting around on this shit. I did it that day. Like he sent it to me at fucking 10 a.m. my time. By noon, I sent him back the verse, the hook, and then he was excited and inspired. So then he went back in and changed his line to met Russ at Carbone in New York. And I was like, well, that's insane. It was a crazy thing. It was like and it all goes to like, wow, if I didn't get that fucking jet from LA, we don't make it to New York in time to fucking go to Carbone. And if I would have not gone to Carbone, just all little things where you kind of shit like that makes you realize that, you should just always go with your gut with everything that you're feeling, even if it seems small and petty, like going out to this restaurant and not that one. But little decisions like that, look what ends up happening. I got to go to Carbone more often.
Before I move on to the next question, you had a little mention in there in the midst of that story about like, I don't know, Ed kind of being there in that spot where you could sort of see him and so on and so forth, being like a sign. Are you somebody who like in your everyday life, you're like, oh, that's a sign. That's a sign.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is a sign. That's a that.
To a fault.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I try to, it could be a good thing or a bad thing. In my experience has been a good thing, but I do look for the meaning in everything. And I do believe, I buy into it. I buy into thinking that everything is revolving around me. It's kind of insane, but it works.
I mean, I think in your own head, you kind of have to be that way to an extent. I mean, is that sort of like, a spiritual thing? Is it a Madonna thing? Like,
Nah,
what's
it's a spiritual thing. It's from some of the books I've read, like,
mhm,
The Alchemist, where, we, it's just what I believe. When you're
mhm,
living your personal legend and your truth, the universe will conspire to help you, and you got to pay attention to the signs and things like that. And look, my whole message with everything in all my interviews in the past, it kind of came off like, y'all got to think like this. Y'all got to listen. You don't have to think like this or do anything I do. I'm simply telling y'all, this is how I do it. This is what's worked for me. It's going pretty well. So I'm providing an alternative way to win. If you don't want to use anything I've said, you don't have to. But if all you've done is fail, you might want to try.
okay. Another recent crossover that you had that I wanted to ask you about was that track with Logic that you did, where,
Yeah.
you guys really kind of hunkered down on like, introspective stuff, mental health stuff, kind of like a
Yeah.
lot of hate and social media kind of weighing down on you both. You've both kind of like had, that parallel in your careers. Like, how did you guys game plan that track so you kind of ended up on the same page with that one?
He sent me a couple songs. I've known him for years. He sent me a couple songs, and I feel like it was right around the time of Chomp and Chomp 2. So I was just trying to rap.
Right.
I wasn't trying to like make a song. I just wanted to rap. And especially with someone like Logic who can rap. It's like in my head, that was just another fun, like one-on-one game where like you get to just rap with someone else who also raps. So that was it. There was no song concept. He sent me the beat and I just wrote a bunch of raps to it, sent it back to him, and then he went fucking insane and called it therapy music, and that was that. But I love that. I love just like I love just kind of rapping free of concept. It's therapeutic.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, well, that's interesting that you kind of frame it that way because again, in terms of the content, it seems like you guys are really on about a lot of the same stuff.
Well, I think once he heard my verse, he kind of,
Got it.
Did that. But for me, I guess my verses kind of end up making sense of themselves. But when I'm just rapping like Chomp style stuff, I'm not trying to make sense of anything. I'm just rapping,
Got it. And, I also wanted to ask you about the, and this may have been more informal, like over the DMs and stuff like that. But, you had that recent Black Thought crossover with Danger Mouse and everything like that. How do you feel about the outcome of that track and how did that one come together?
Incredible. So Black Thought is a fucking alien.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, he's not even human. He's not even a fucking human being.
It's like, I don't even understand how that dude's brain works, like at all. So we obviously did Momentum on the first Chomp. And
right.
So he sent me this song and it was the first experience I've had like this. And it was so cool. He sends me this song and he gives me this whole, like, texts me this whole like long paragraph about like what the song's about, what it needs to be, what it needs to feel like this whole, and I'm like, thank you. Like I wish more artists would do this. So I know what the fuck I'm doing. Right. So many artists, they send a song with the open verse and they're just like, all right. I'm just like, what do you want me to do? Like, give me some sort of like fucking,
Black Thought comes through with direction. He has an idea. Right.
Yeah. So sends me this whole thing. And so, he was telling me like he wants it to be poignant and like I gotta like dig deep, basically. And so I sent him a verse and it was hard. And he was like, this is hard, but we feel like you can dig even deeper. And I was like, see, I like that. I like that. It wasn't just, oh yeah, this is cool. Push me to fucking, especially someone like Black Thought, who's obviously not in my generation, has been doing it way longer, is way more insane than me at this rapping shit. It's like, yeah, tell me. And so he told me and I rewrote the verse and that's the verse that is out now. And I think it's one of my better verses as far as just like introspection and just digging deep, and I credit Black Thought to that for sure.
Kind of even you yourself kind of comparing a verse like that to maybe other ones that you've done in the past, either for features or your own stuff. Like, how do you feel about your own personal artistic trajectory in terms of the progression that you're seeing in your own pen game and stuff like that? Like, what are your own personal challenges or things that you aspire to that, in your own mind think like, may make you think like, I'm getting better, or I need to progress at this, or I need to improve at this? Like, what are you working on to sort of like get to your next stage of, I guess like, improvement or something?
I think I think the progress in my pen and just like the raps, the metaphors, the similes, I'm just trying way harder, you know? And so like that's where I can hear Chomp and Chomp 2 are just so far above and beyond the raps of like 2017. Not that the raps of 2017 were hard, because I always had punchlines and witty shit, but it's just at a different level because I'm just trying hard and I'm dedicating myself more to it. And I do think there's a lot to be said about being 29 now and not 23. You know, I know more shit. I know myself more. I'm more comfortable with myself. I'm more secure with myself. I know myself more, so my artistry is going to feel a little bit more authentic. Yeah, it's a really fun time because I almost feel like where I'm at right now in my career is like this whole new chapter. But I don't know how to articulate it. It's like starting over, but having all the skills. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but I just feel very, very well equipped to go into this next chapter. And I feel like it's a blank slate and I still feel new, still feels fresh. Obviously, I know people are like, you're not a new artist, but there's still so much fucking room for growth, you know? And so I'm excited to sort of apply just my newfound version of me, you know, the new books I've read and just, you know, collaborating with, you know, these up and coming producers that, you know, we're signing. Like, they're just insane. Just fucking around with crazy ass people, you know, like the type of dudes who sit there in their room and play the violin and then this instrument and play this. It's like, I just think expanding the musical palette and also trying way harder and being way more myself is naturally going to make the music better. You know, it's like, there's not much a 23-year-old can fucking tell me as a 29-year-old. It's tough for me to like even not listen to my old shit. My old shit's fire, but I don't know, man. There's just a different level of like, I'm very confident in the messages that I have now and how I'm delivering them. The messages were always good, but the how, I'm real sure that it's gonna like pierce through on a real level.
A couple of questions off that, like the messages.
Sorry, I ramble.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. No, the more you ramble, the more questions I have. Cool. You know, as far as the messaging, like what's a message or an idea or concept that you have not communicated to the fans yet that you're waiting to, you're about to, you know, what's an idea that you're trying to get across that you haven't yet?
So many. I just feel like I don't want to say
just one off the top of the head. Just one.
One off the top of the head is I want to write a song about maybe being scared of success because you're scared of change. You know, that wasn't something that I came to terms with as even being a thought till very recently, because I didn't realize that I don't like change that much. I like things to kind of stay. And that probably comes from like me having to move around a lot as a kid so much, where I just wanted to stay in one fucking spot and stop with all this being uprooted. Like, I just want something stable. And, you know, I was thinking about it the other day and I was like, damn, maybe my subconscious is actually scared of more success because I'm scared of an overwhelming change that comes with it. And I don't want shit to change. Oh my God, that makes me feel like I'm falling with nothing to grasp onto, you know? So that's like an interesting concept for me that I want to touch on.
Do you or have you done things in your past or even in your present that you feel like kneecap your success so that it either comes... well, I mean, you say that you felt like you were like afraid of success. You know, have you done anything either consciously or subconsciously that has prevented more success in order to feel safer in what you do?
I don't think I've done anything that's prevented more success. No, I think it's all on me. I think it's all in my head, to be honest. Like the holdbacks, you know, it's all in my head.
Got it. I also wanted to ask you, you know, you're somebody who for a long time has like really kind of been a guy who wears a lot of hats creatively. And, you know, obviously, you know, especially with Chomp and you're talking about other producers, like you've been bringing in a lot of people, doing a lot of crossovers. Like, you know, with somebody who's been doing pretty much everything DIY for so long, maybe I'm presuming here, but are you maybe in a way like a little bit of a control freak? Like, is there kind of a part of you that it's hard to kind of hand things over, trust in other people that they do something because you're used to just kind of doing it on your own?
For sure. For sure. But when it comes to like Chomp and that type of stuff, it's really easy to like, hand things over and get beats from this person, just because, the whole thing at the beginning of my career, and even not now, at the beginning, I was producing, mixing, mastering, everything because I had to.
Yeah.
I didn't know anyone.
Right.
You feel me? And I wasn't going to sit there and not make a song. So I just had to figure it out. You feel me? So it was a way of survival. I just literally couldn't hit up anyone else. I didn't know anyone. Now that I have the ability to collaborate with like so many great people, as people can see, like, I'm not shy to collaborate with people. I'm not shy to rap with this person or rap over these people's beats. It's just I didn't know anyone. So now it's not difficult for me to trust somebody who's already very credible. It's not hard for me to like trust Jay Electronica to send me a good verse, or like DJ Premier to make a good beat. No, it's easy. It's easy. But I am in control in other aspects of my life. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
So yes and no. You nailed it, but no.
All right. Let me ask you about just basically the continued independent trajectory that you've been on, because obviously, even a guy like Ed Sheeran knows most popular independent artists, so on and so forth. Like, crazy. Let's kind of dive into that with maybe starting now and moving backwards. Like, currently at this moment, is this still like your mindset? Is this still your energy? Are you just pretty much still like at a point where you're like, I'm independent. I don't want anybody buying me out. I don't want to be under anybody else. I'm just on my own. I'm an island. I'm doing my thing.
Yeah. I mean, when you just look at it from the perspective of, okay, well, what could a label offer me? Right. Money, I have that. Radio, I have that. PR, I have that. Digital marketing, I have that. Music video directors, I have that. Collaborations, connections, I have. So it's like, for me, it just doesn't make sense. They can't offer me anything that I don't already have. We started the label and I have, we were just the #2 most added song at Rhythm Radio. It's like, that wasn't always happening when I was with Columbia, so, and PR, like the PR I'm with now is it's PR that labels outsource to anyway.
Right.
So it just doesn't make sense for me.
Got it. Well, I mean, to sort of like maybe spell it out for people, because there are a lot of people who watch, either live on Twitch or on YouTube who are independent artists themselves. Like, how would you say it is that you're kind of like getting these benefits, while there are other sort of like independent artists out there who are just like, man, how the fuck do I get a connection? How do I get another artist interested in what I'm doing? How do I get like, this ability to do this or that ability to do that? For you, it sort of seems like it's kind of maybe not coming easy, but it's coming, and it's sort of rare for somebody in your position again to have like an Ed Sheeran feature. You know what I mean? Right. Like, like what would you say is kind of making that come together for you?
Well, it's coming together for me because I'm hella consistent, hella persistent. There's not a day that goes by where I'm not like obsessed with progress, but for like the up and coming artists.
And you also go to Carbone.
And I go to Carbone. So you should go to Carbone more. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. You go there and you see the sign and you jump on it. Yeah.
Yeah. For the true up and coming artist who's making $10 a month.
Right.
Those guys, listen, this is something that like I never put in my disclaimers, because I feel like it's just something that needs to be understood. And so anything I've ever said in my career doesn't apply to you if your music sucks. But every artist thinks their music is great. So there's the disconnect. 9 times out of 10, it's your music. That's what's holding you back. Man, I've been doing a song a week. I did your method. Listen to the song. It's terrible. You feel me? The music isn't good. So and this is a real thing. What I would say to artists to like, well, how do I know if my music is actually not good or if it's just some other shit? Put out enough of it. I think a lot of artists, they put out, and I had friends like this, they'll put out one song, one mixtape, 2 mixtapes, and then stop or try and say it's this or it's, you don't have enough like data out there to do any real accurate research. Like if you only have 15 songs out, that's not enough to like get a gauge on, is this good or not? Is my approach good? Like, that's why for me, after doing 11 mixtapes, that was enough for me to be like, all right, do I still think the music is great? Yes. So then that means the approach is terrible. I'm not doing mixtapes anymore. Let me try a song a week. Then when I was doing a song a week, that's when shit started to work. So it was clearly the approach, not the music. But that's why I advocate for the song a week shit, because you can quickly figure out if your music is good or if you need to improve. Because after 60 weeks or 70 weeks, if your shit is good, you'll have fans.
I've advocated for something similar when people ask, you know, if I have any ideas or anything, because the thing is like, if you don't have a fan base yet, if you don't have a group of people who are interested in hearing 3 minutes of your music, you know, it's like you shouldn't be hitting them with 30 minutes of your music. You know what I mean? Like, do it in chunks, do it in pieces, do it until you have people who are like waiting for the next song and the song after that and the song after that. And then once there's that demand there, like give something bigger, give something larger, you know, especially like you have to consider that most music these days is consumed in small bite-sized chunks and not even in a fucking playlist on Spotify, like in little 10-second bits on TikTok. You know? Yeah. So it's like, you know,
it's pride is what it is, man. A lot of up and coming artists have pride. They want to do things this way. And if it doesn't work, they're just like, well, that's bullshit. It should work. It's like, it doesn't work. Stop putting out mixtapes when no one even wants to hear a fucking mixtape from you because we don't know who you are. Or if you want to keep doing that, then just manage your expectations. You know what I'm saying? But I think being consistent and digestible is the way to garner a fan base quickly. Yeah, you know,
to get your foot in the door.
To get your foot in the door. Like I saw this speaking of TikTok, I saw this insane TikTok that was like, it was so misleading. It was some woman, this is no knock to her, I don't even know who she is, but she basically said like, you know, a label exec came and talked to us and they said that the average artist puts out 32 songs before they blow up. 32 songs is so much music. I was like, 32 songs?
That's a lot of music.
That's no music. Are you kidding? Like before I even did a song.
She said 30 and she said 32 songs before you blow up?
Yes.
And what, get a platinum song?
It's like, I was like, dog, this is so, you're going to make people feel like if when you're on song 33, if you haven't blown up, you're a failure.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because, it's only supposed to take 32 songs. And it's like, I had like 105 songs out before I even started doing a song a week, which was another 100.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you need to have a lot of shit out, especially if you're really like, you're not some prodigy and whatever. Like I tip my hat to a lot of these like younger guys who 18, 19, 20 and are fucking insane.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I was not insane at 18, 19 or 20. I had to do 11 mixtapes. That was my version of artist development. You know, that was me getting better. Then a song a week, I was getting better. This whole time has been artist development. I wasn't one of those people who my 20th time on the mic, it was a hit song, you know? So if you're an up and coming artist and you're like that, which I would think is most up and coming artists, don't listen to like anyone telling you you've put out 30 songs, you should be huge. You put out 100 songs, you should be. Listen, if you're dedicated to it and you love it and you're obsessed with progress and you're not arrogant to the point that you think you can't improve and you don't have anything to work on, stay with it and stay consistent, and it might happen on your 300th song. And that's just how it's going to go.
Right. You know, you've got to think of those 15 or 32 songs that are being recommended you make in perspective of like the entire ocean of songs out there that anybody could be listening to. You know what I mean? At any given moment. And, you know, with what you say, with the consistency and everything, you're just making it more likely that someone will stumble upon you.
That's it.
And, you know, that's just kind of the way that the internet forces people to operate in.
Yeah. And I don't understand why up and coming artists feel like they're going to oversaturate. Right. It's like, you're not Drake. No one even fucking knows you're dropping. What are you talking about? It's like, artists are so deluded. It's like, what are you talking? Like, nah, I don't want to like put out too much, like oversaturate my dog. No one is listening to you. Like the fucking, put it like this, Losing Control blowing up or Handsomer blowing up or Ed Sheeran song, this song blowing up. No one hears the song and is like, no, he put out 11 mixtapes and that was too much, so I can't hear this. Like, no one heard those 11 mixtapes. They don't fucking matter. Just put this shit out so you can move on and get better. Like, what are people talking about? It's insane.
All right, let me ask you, like, over the years, because things have like really shifted since and your SoundCloud days, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In terms of like the way the musical landscape looks. How would you say, as an independent artist, your own personal like PR, like just general promotion strategy has changed now that, again, playlists are bigger, TikTok is bigger. Like, nobody's looking for like, the next fucking Tekashi 6ix9ine or Chief Keef on SoundCloud anymore. They're not. You know, it's like, what are you doing and where are you putting yourself to make it more likely that, new fans and new people are being exposed to what you do?
People are going to get mad at this, which I understand, because I was one of the people. TikTok.
Right.
And the reason why I say TikTok is, look, when you look at the landscape of the music business in 2013, 14, 15, SoundCloud was the shit. And that was the new thing on the internet to flood your music and get it out there, and you could get discovered on there.
Right.
TikTok is that now.
Right.
It's that simple. And if you're just like being a caveman, and just like, oh, will not dance on new app. I hate, it's like, that's not all it's for. Like, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, get on the app and actually figure out how you can be authentic on there, because that's where everyone's at. So to just be like, to say you want to blow up and become an artist and, become successful, I'll do whatever it takes, but I won't get on TikTok. It's like, well, then you don't want to be successful that bad. TikTok is where everyone's at. The algorithms are incredible for up and coming artists. I've never discovered more up and coming artists than I have on TikTok. I feel like I find a new one every day that's incredible, and they're having insane success on there. And it's amazing. And it's like, if you're dope, put your shit on TikTok. I always tell people, I feel like I would have crushed on TikTok in 2014 because I was putting up, part of my promo, because I didn't have money to spend on promo. Part of it was I would just put up a, cringy selfie video of me lip syncing along to my new R&B song. That shit would have been going crazy on TikTok, especially because TikTok rewards volume and TikTok rewards iPhone quality shit. So basically, TikTok rewards the everyday creator. If you're in your bedroom with an iPhone, you can blow up. And that should be inspiring. I don't know, if you're not on TikTok and you're trying to be an artist, I don't get it. Because when's the last time, name me the last artist who blew up on Instagram or Twitter.
Right. And on top of it, as far as like music goes, look, I've been on TikTok a while. I'm close to actually like 1 million followers on there. And, it's going well. But the thing is, like, it's very difficult on there to go on there and just be like, okay, I'm going to do a funny video. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Hey, watch my YouTube video now. Watch my Russ interview now. You know what I mean? It's very difficult to do that. But with music, there's actually like decent conversions. Like if a song goes viral on TikTok, people will immediately go to Spotify and stream it. People will immediately go to Apple Music and stream the fuck out of it. It's not the same thing with a YouTube video. So, that's even more incentive, because there are totally fucking obscure artists out there that you or I don't even know their names, but they have a platinum plaque because a song went viral on TikTok. Yeah. So, I mean, again, as an artist, the conversions are insane. Like you'd be crazy not to take advantage of them.
Out of control. Like what Handsomer did because of TikTok is out of control. Out of Control was my biggest song ever up till that point, because now this Ed Sheeran song is going to obviously pass it. But it took me when did I get on Twitter? 2011, I think. So I was on there for 11 years, amassed 2.1 million followers. I started actually being active on TikTok last year, and I'm at 2.6. It's like, and I've gotten more bang for my buck off of TikTok than Twitter. I never had some on Twitter or Instagram turn into a hit because of Twitter or Instagram. Maybe I have, and I'm losing my memory, but correct me if I'm wrong, any fans listening, but TikTok, I've seen it firsthand take my song Seduce last year and make it go fucking crazy, and it converts to the streams on Spotify and Apple Music and Handsomer now. It's like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And what I try to tell up and coming artists is this: if Charlie Puth is on TikTok, you should be on TikTok. Because if anyone doesn't have to be on TikTok, it's probably a massive pop star who already has a shit ton of fans, who has a shit ton of monthly listeners. If Charlie Puth is on TikTok promoting his music and you in your basement with no fans, is not, you don't want it that bad. That doesn't make any sense. That's like Kobe being in the gym and you're in high school and you're not even on varsity and you're refusing to practice. It's like, okay, well, shut up then. You don't want to make it. It's crazy.
All right. I'm following you now. Following you now on TikTok. Okay.
Oh, I'll follow you back. Beautiful. Love
okay.
that.
I'll stitch something that you did. All right. So we're getting close to the end here. Like, you know,
that's a shame.
I know unless you have a question for me that you want to throw at me, you know what I mean? I think things are going pretty good, you know?
Yeah. Have you ever reviewed any of my music?
Yes, I have. I thought you knew that. Yes, I've reviewed some of your music.
No, I didn't know that.
Okay, well,
you gave it bad scores. What have you reviewed?
Stop. Let's not even go there.
Why not?
Because I forget off the top of my head. Anyway.
That's incredible.
What do you have coming around the corner that we could look forward to in the immediate future?
You can look forward to me deep diving and finding those reviews.
Finding the reviews and then doing TikToks about them and being like, fuck this fucker. This fucker.
Nah, actually, you know what? I think you did Zoo.
Yeah, I think I did Zoo.
Someone sent me Zoo. I think you gave it like a 2.
Was I that harsh? Was I that harsh on?
Yeah, I think I actually remember.
I might have been. I might have been. I might have been. Yeah, now it's a trauma. It's coming. You locked it down in the memory hole.
I was triggered, and now it's rushing back. It's just fucking pummeling back. Oh man.
Now we're gonna see the chill going. You're going. Yeah, like it's coming. It's all coming back. No, Punch like, Russ.
Anyone with a platform who's reviewing my music, it's a W. It's a W. And like the reason why I never even got mad at that, because I do remember you reviewed it now, is because you kept it on the music from what I remember.
Well, yeah. I mean, one thing I'm going to say in your defense, I'm going to say this, like any instance in the past of anything that was like, you know, fucking, you know, sideways that you did or any shit like that. Like, you know, while you could argue that it went too far, whatever, but like anybody who you ever got involved with that, like came at you hella fucking disrespectful. Right. And again, it didn't necessarily need to be something that you reacted to in the way that you did. Sure. But obviously that was not my energy or my intention whenever I was reviewing any of your music.
You keep it on.
He said with a shiver in his voice.
No. No, but it's like, I don't like, that's the thing. I don't have any problem with people commenting on my music. Right. It's more like when people are trying to use their platform to assassinate my character and do all sorts of, it's like, all right, will you relax first?
Right.
But, yeah.
So I get it. You know, listen, at the end of the day, if anybody has anything to say about my reviews, that's fine, you know, but like, you know, where it gets awful is when people are like, he's a this and he's a that, and this person connected to him is this, and this person connected to him is that, and he has, you know, and just other awful defamatory shit, you know, exactly. just because you made a thing, a thing people don't like.
That's when it goes too far. People start going down fake rabbit holes and shit. It's insane.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to the TikToks where you're tearing me down. I think that'll be good. That'll be good.
Yeah. What else do I have coming up? I don't know. I'm going on this super world tour,
right?
An actual world tour for any artists watching. Well, there's probably no artist of whatever.
Ed Sheeran's probably watching. Ed Sheeran's watching, getting pointers.
A world tour is not Europe and North America.
Right.
Stop calling y'all shit a world tour.
Right.
If you're just going to Europe and North, I don't get it. So you don't know that Africa exists, that the Middle East, that Asia? It's like, I don't know. So I'm really, you know, I'm excited, man. I'm going to India for the first time. I'm going to South Korea. I'm going back to South Africa. I'm going to go to Nigeria. I'm going to Egypt. I'm going everywhere. I'm going to Brazil, you know, Argentina. So it's going to be exciting. Tiring, but exciting.
Well, Russ, a truly global guy coming through, Thanks. Taking the time, having a good conversation, being an open book. I appreciate you. I appreciate you a lot.
Nah, thank you, man. It's good.
All right. Hey, have a good night, and you know, good luck on everything that you have coming down the pipe.
Likewise. Watch your back. No, I'm kidding.
No, I will. I'm watching my fucking back. I'm watching it.
All right, peace, bro.
All right, bye.